Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. So I mentioned in my last video that it may or may not be my last video unless I start my journey into transitioning, and I actually have started the first steps of that. I'm not on T yet or anything like that. So recently I had my annual exam with my gynecologist, and she was the first person medically that I wanted to talk to about transitioning because my transitioning is going to affect my relationship with her. Plus, you know, since I know I'm not going to do any massive bottom surgery in terms of gender reassignment type surgery, I'm like, okay, I'm still gonna need a gynecologist at least part of the time, unless I get a hysterectomy and that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I want to talk to her. I've seen her for 15 years. She knows all of my medical issues from that part of me and everything, and that's where most of my medical issues are, outside of the heart condition I have. But everything else stems from my reproductive organs and everything, and so she knows me from the hormones problems I have and just everything else. And so I wanted to talk to her first. I wanted to make sure she was okay with transitioning. I had a feeling she would be, and she did, and she was. She's been very, very supportive and everything, but you know, like I said, I needed to talk to her first. I wanted to make sure she was on board with it and that she was supportive, and everything. And I was a little nervous because you never know. I mean, you can know people for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden you mention this, and all of a sudden they go off the deep end and say things that you don't expect. I had a friend of mine a couple of years ago who turned out to be a complete transphobe, and I was ridiculously shocked by this because she is a lesbian, and I was like, wait, you're in the community. How can you be against someone else in the LGBT community? And yet, you know, it is a thing. It does happen. It does exist, and I was not that aware of that until then, and I was completely flabbergasted by that. But anyway, enough tangents in that direction. So yeah, so I talked to my gynecologist, and she was immediately supportive. And the one thing, this is the thing that kind of made me go, huh? During the whole discussion with her about everything, is the fact that for years, okay, and this is not just this doctor, she is just the most recent gynecologist that I've had, although I've seen her for 15 years, but you know, I'm 46, so I've had a number of them. But for years, I mean, since my 20s, I have been asking, if not begging, for a hysterectomy. Even when they found a growth on my one ovary and they went in and removed the ovary and gave me tubal ligation, I was like, can I just have a hysterectomy? And they were like, no. You're too young, you might still want children. I'm like, no, I don't. Getting a tubal ligation, come on, how much more serious, you know? They gave me the tubal ligation, thankfully, so I was sterilized, but they still wouldn't. Well, you might still need that uterus for, you know, you can always do in vitro later, and what? I'm like, just no. But as soon as I mentioned, because even my current gynecologist, I mean, I love her for everything else, but she still also refused the whole hysterectomy thing, like you're healthy, or, you know, all this stuff. And as soon as I mentioned transition, one of the first things she brought up was, well, we need to think about a hysterectomy. I'm like, huh? I've been begging you for one for years, and as long as I'm identifying as female, you can't give me a hysterectomy. As soon as I identify as male, all of a sudden you can't wait to rip my parts out? Like, really? It's just hit me in the face as to the difference in attitude, because I just, you know, I don't know, is this a male privilege thing, or is she like, oh, you're trans, therefore I don't want to offend you, and all this stuff, or is it because there is the increased cancer risk once you go on testosterone, so you might as well get rid of everything? I don't know. But, and I didn't yell at her or anything about this, but I was like, it hit me as I was going home, like, wait a minute, what? When did this happen? So I thought that was interesting, at the very least. So the first step for this is obviously I need to see a psychiatrist and talk to them about the whole gender transition and gender identity and everything, especially since I don't identify as transgender. I identify as genderqueer, and very specifically under that umbrella bigender, even though I do lean more heavily towards male, and I just really, really want to present to the world as male. I'd like my face to look more masculine. I'd love to have my voice sound more masculine, and that kind of thing. So it's those types of things I'd like to do. I'd like to stop wearing the binder, and I'd really like to get rid of the breasts in general anyway, because they've been problematic. I've mentioned this in previous videos, because I have fibroids and fluid-filled cysts in my breasts, and sorry if that's TMI, but you know, I'm gonna try and be as open as possible with these videos, because, you know, I know a lot of transgender people who make videos and stuff. They share as much as they can, but they keep a lot of things private, and it's absolutely their choice. No one has the right to know everything about a person if they don't want to share it, and that's perfectly fine. I just happen to be a ridiculously open person, and I'm very much into TMI and giving too much detail, but I actually I recently found someone who was a lot more open about certain parts of their transition, specifically their bottom growth and things that they were experiencing while they were first going on testosterone, and I was like, wow, this is information I really, really wanted to know, and no one else had been talking about it, and it was that kind of tipped me over the edge to saying, you know what, I really do want to do this, because there were certain questions I had that were just not discussed, because people like to keep certain things private. And so I'm going to try and be as transparent as possible, and everything. I mean, obviously I'm not going to show pictures or anything, but I'm going to talk about and be as candid as I can about how I'm going through my transition and everything, especially since I'm not transitioning as a transgender person, but as a genderqueer person, and so that's a little bit of a different perspective. And since I'm not planning any gender reassignment surgery on my bottom half, I'm just gonna, I am going to seriously consider the hysterectomy. I mean, I thought my doctor would still be hesitant about that, so I was thinking I was only gonna get the mastectomy and be done with it there. But if she's really on board with doing that, I would love, you know, because not only will it, you know, permanently remove any problems that I'm having in that area and have for decades now, you know, removing my breasts, removing everything, you know, the ovaries, the uterus, the cervix, taking all of that out, there's a significant reduction in cancer risk from all of those pieces. That doesn't mean I'll never get cancer, but then my only real concern cancer-wise would be colon cancer, because that's something that my grandmother passed away from. And so I just, you know, getting rid of things that could potentially become cancerous, so that I can reduce my chances of, you know, all the better, in my opinion. So I'm really looking forward to, I mean, I'm not looking forward to the surgeries. I mean, surgery sucks. If I could have everything done all in one single go, I would, but I doubt it. I'm guessing that the mastectomy is gonna have to be one surgery and the hysterectomy have to be another. But then that's it, I'm just gonna do those two. Just like I said, the gender reassignment, I don't have dysphoria with my genitals. I really don't. I never have. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the vaginal area in general. It's one of the reasons why I'm androsexual and only attracted to males, but at the same time, I'm definitely, when it comes to having sex, I'm a bottom. I am not a top. I have no interest in being the penetrating partner, and there's so many complications that could happen regardless of which of the two bottom surgeries you can get, the metoidioplasty or the phalloplasty. And I'm like, I really have, no interest in messing around with all that at this point, especially at my age. So, I mean, I honestly don't even know if I'll ever have a partner again in the future. I'm not ruling it out. I've said this before. It's like, if someone comes along and we click and they're interested in me and I'm interested in them, I'm not going to turn down the opportunity of having another partner, but I'm not going to expend the energy, at least not right now, to seek one out. And by going through this transition, I'm greatly narrowing the potential pool of partners by doing this, because on one hand, I will no longer be attractive to straight men, and gay men may find me problematic because I won't have the bottom surgery, I won't have the gender reassignment, so I'm still gonna be kind of girly down there, and that's gonna turn a lot of gay men off. And so there's the only possibility left are people who are openly bisexual. And yeah, so I'm not holding my breath on having a partner, and to be perfectly honest, I am totally fine with this. I mean, I had my husband in my life. He was it for me. He really was, and I can't imagine finding someone else who would fit me as well as he did. Personality and just everything. We just worked so well together. And so, you know what? I had the love of my life, and now I can focus on other things like writing my novels and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of kick things off a little bit, just talking about where I'm at now. And I'm going to try and update videos, not on any kind of schedule or anything, but just like anytime there is a new development. So right now I'm going into therapy and things. I don't know if I'll be talking about like different therapy sessions and that kind of thing, or if I'll just make a summary video after I'm done and am moving on to the next phase of the transition. So we'll see. It just like as things develop and everything, and as I have news, I will post new videos at that point. So that's about enough of my rambling this time. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.